You are now entering a dangerous liberty zone where God-given natural rights are held sacred and exercised. This is your warning. Tyranny, fascism, and censorship will not be tolerated. Ideas will be exchanged freely. Rigorous debate and open discourse is encouraged. If you are weak and your beliefs are fragile, you should leave now. Prepare yourself. We are now live on the Dangerous Liberty Podcast.
All right, folks, welcome to another episode of the Dangerous Liberty Podcast. A great show for you. All of a sudden, I'm hearing some echo. I don't know why. Let me make sure all our echo stuff. Blake, you don't have audio playing through a speaker, do you?
No.
Okay. All right. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully, you guys aren't hearing it over there. But anyways, we got a great show for you. We had Veterans Day yesterday, or we celebrated yesterday. And number one, I had a lot of people contact me to thank me for my service. And I want to make sure that I let each and every one of you veterans out there know that I'm thankful for yours and appreciate what you do. And I went to go record a video yesterday, and I was having some technical difficulty. But, you know, my message to you veterans out there is that, especially those of you that are having a rough time, is your nation needs you more than ever. And your best days are not behind you, they're ahead of you. And everything that you've ever went through, whether it's combat, whether it's difficulty during service, whether you were struggling with things when you got out or you're still in, whatever it is. Folks, all of that is nothing but preparation. So, you know, I encourage you to, number one, understand that as a veteran, you have an obligation and a duty to live for those that didn't make it back home. And, you know, your country needs you, your community needs you, your family needs you. Everybody needs you, man. We need you to step up and get in a leadership position, whether it's in your community, your church, your family, whatever it is. But you have so much to offer this country still. Your service isn't over. I just want you to go on and do great things. And thank you for your service. And I want you to remember that. All right, so we got a great show. We got a great guest. I've talked to Blake multiple times. As always, folks, we're going to do a podcast. So Blake and I are going to talk a little bit, and then we're going to bring you guys in to jump in on the conversation, to join in on the discussion. We are going to prioritize super chats. Make sure you guys keep it civil over there in the comments. We definitely welcome disagreement, but name calling isn't going to be tolerated. You're going to get booted. Keep it civil, be adults. That's what this is all about. But without further ado, I want to bring on someone that I consider a friend, Blake Bednarz. Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Gary. And the feeling's mutual. Thanks. I look forward to the discussion, and I'm just going to echo what you said. This is all about just positive discourse where we're sitting here hammering out ideas, theories, because at the end of the day, this is about one purpose and one purpose alone. That's trying to find justice for Charlie. So I'm glad to be here, and I think we'll have a very productive discussion tonight.
Yeah, I do too. And again, for those of you who don't know, I've talked to Blake several times on the phone. We've had some pretty long discussions. I will tell you this, you know, one thing I will say about Blake is that I find him to be a serious person, a sober person. We haven't ever kind of hashed out some of the technical aspects of what he believes took place. I have a vague idea, but today what I want to do is give him a platform, let him explain what he thinks happened to you and to me. And then, you know, at the end of the day, we can all sit back and decide for ourselves. And for those of you that are wanting like some hardcore debate, that's not what this is going to be. I want him to state what was going on. I'm going to take it in. I might push back on some things from time to time, but it's going to be respectful and friendly. And that's what this is all about. So, Blake, kind of take it away. Tell us what you think happened.
Right. So I figured the thing that would probably help most is just start where I'm at, big picture, and then we can hammer down on some points that are just, in my opinion, troubling and hard to just get over. Basically, all in all, I do not believe that there was a gun fired that struck Charlie in the neck.
Okay.
Okay. I am on the campaign of there was something underneath his shirt and it was detonated, causing a wound. And once the wound was done, or not done, but once the initial gush of blood was done, Charlie is tackled. And 20, 30 seconds later, he's in the SUV. So we only have this very brief moment to really look at things. So 40,000 foot overview, I believe something exploded underneath his shirt, causing the wound. I don't think it was a life-ending wound. It doesn't appear that way. It definitely appears that it broke the skin. Looks more like with the color of the blood, it was from it was a vein, a venous bleed.
Not like the jugular. Yeah.
Right. I don't think it was an arterial bleed. But the posturing that we keep hearing about, with everyone talking about the decortorate, whatever that word is. Yeah. With it affecting the brainstem or the spine. In my opinion, this was a shock. There was a shock that was delivered, and it looks like what anybody being struck with a taser would do. And he seizes up like he's been shocked. That's what it looks like to me. Okay. I'll run through everything here in a little bit on breaking down some film or footage that I've got. But all in all, that's where I'm at. Okay. So let's back up.
Sure.
Let's start with the weapon that law enforcement is claiming was used.
Sure.
Okay. 30-06. I'm not a tremendously big hunter, but I have hunted before and I have shot and killed a deer. Okay. My brother-in-law was just in my office. He has a very recent kill down at his ranch, and it's shocking because it blew a massive hole in this deer that it doesn't make any sense with. So let's start there with the weapon that they are claiming he used. Okay. There's no way. I am at the point where I can say without a shadow of doubt, there is a 0% chance it was a 30-06.
Okay.
Zero.
I mean, I disagree with that, but all right. There you go.
So, Gary, this is like and I'm just going to be honest, like I have done a lot of talking with people online, and I'm going to guess that you know your way around using a weapon. You're the only person with military background that knows weapons well. You're the only person, and I'm not being facetious here.
I agree with it. I think it's crazy.
You are the only guy that I have found that served our country, that knows weapons, and that believes that a 30-06 did that.
Well, let me qualify that just a little bit. So,
okay.
First of all, most guys in the military, and even snipers, quite frankly, don't know that much about ballistics. When I got out of the military, even when I was in the military, so first of all, I was an 18 Bravo. That's a weapons sergeant inside U.S. Army Special Forces. Now, I will say I've talked to a lot of military and weapons guys that believe like I do. They're just not on the internet. All right. I mean, I think really at the end of the day, yeah, there seems to be this, vet bro thing going on, but the vast majority of people that come from my line of work really aren't social media guys. And I wasn't either. I kind of got dragged into this and wasn't really anyways. So besides that, I was always a weapons nerd on top of being an 18 Bravo. And then when I got out of the military, I ended up working for in a couple different positions. But then I started this company where I do a lot of ballistic testing, even before YouTube or anything else. So I've done a lot of ballistic testing on body armor. I've done a lot of ballistic testing, terminal, external ballistics, 99% of which I've never posted on YouTube. I get, companies, firearms companies and ammunition companies have sent me ammo to test and things like that. So I will say, and I've been doing this for 20 years. So yeah, I hear what you're saying. Now, this is what is a fact, and I don't care what anybody else says on the internet. To come to a predicted outcome with ballistics, there's some basic facts that you have to know. It's just in the way, if I saw a car, if I looked at a car and I said that car can or can't do 200 miles an hour, but I'm just looking at it from the outside, that's a pretty stupid statement to me. I have no idea what engine it's in it. I have no idea what transmission's in it. But there are some basic facts that you have to know before you can come to any sort of ballistic conclusion or prediction. And that is, number one, what type of ammo is used? Is that store-bought ammunition, or is that box ammunition, or hand-loaded ammunition? I need to know what the projectile type is. Is that FMJ? Is that frangible? Whatever else we got going on. I need to know the bullet weight, right? We need to know the grain weight of that ammunition. Was it 100 grain round? Was it 175, 180, or whatever else? I need to know ultimately the muzzle velocity. We don't know what that is. And then I also need to know what condition that ammo is. I've definitely seen old ammo do lots of weird things. And there's many military folks out there. If you've shot nearly as much ammunition as I did in the military, you've come across things like squibs. You've come across things like hang fire. So a squib is a round that you shoot that doesn't exit the barrel. That happens. It happens, I wouldn't say frequently, but it happens. And if you've shot 100,000 rounds, you're going to see it happen. Hang fire. You pull the trigger, nothing happens, and then 3 seconds later, the gun goes off, or the ammunition actually ignites and goes off. I've seen rounds explode midair. I've seen rounds tumble. I've seen rounds do all of these things. So, for other people out in the general public, even if they're vet bros or, they were in the military or whatever else, for them to say, I know what I should expect out of that round without knowing those basic parameters is horseshit. I mean, it just is. And that's outside of some sort of anomalous round. I got a bunch of 30-06 ammo over there. I have everything from standard ammunition to hunting ammunition to low recoil ammunition. And here's the thing. This is the other ridiculous thing that I've seen. I've seen a lot of people doing ballistic testing, and they're using everyone's conclusion about 30-06 is what they've experienced. And what most people have experienced, they've experienced using a 155 grain round up to a 210 grain round for hunting primarily. That's the 99 percentile of people's experience. And yes, I can predict what that round is going to do at 27 to 3,000 feet per second. It's going to exit. What I haven't seen them do is there's the other 75% of non-standard ammunition offerings that I've seen not a single person test. I heard of them talk about it, and I'm going to, but we've been busy, and I will get to do that. I should be able to do it this weekend. I thought I was going to be able to do it last weekend, but things came up, and I had to go actually earn some money and run our business and do some training. So for people to use every time I shot a buck with a 175 grain round at 2,800 feet per second, it blew right through the other side. Well, no shit. But you can't, that doesn't mean that's what was used. We don't know the condition of the ammo, if it was, if it's climate control, we don't know how old the ammo, all of those things that we would need to know. Every single parameter of information that we would need to know to be able to predict an outcome, we just don't know.
Well, so, and I appreciate that explanation. I cannot, and most people cannot get over the fact that that shot or that wound what we see. And look, this is different than JFK. This is different than all assassinations outside of probably Shinzo Abe, that we have stuff to look at, and like where it's shared immediately. So the information, and then we've got also things to compare it against, right? So there's not a single thing online on YouTube, on anybody that, and I get with the different grains and different 30-06 cartridges, like there's multiple. You still will never get that minimal of, like, it's just it's it's impossible. Like it's impossible.
That I can assure you is incorrect, because what I could do for sure, 1000%,
Through the soft tissue,
is I could go load a hand, I could go hand load a round that would not penetrate somebody's neck for sure. I would bet $100,000 on that. I can hand load a round that won't do that. I could set it up to where it won't do that. And the other thing that we don't know is, like, I mean, I can make a 30-06 round subsonic. I mean, if I wanted to. I mean, like, you can buy subsonic ammunition. I don't think that's what happened. We clearly, in my mind, there's enough evidence that we have a supersonic event just through the audio analysis. But you could take a 100-grain round, that supersonic frangible round, and I think you would see exactly what you get here. I mean, we could reduce that. Everybody keeps saying 2,500 foot-pounds of energy or 2,000 foot-pounds of energy. We could reduce that well below or at 1,000 or less, and we could get the results. Now, was that caused because it was a hand load? I don't know. Was that caused because the powder was old or it was exposed to moisture? I don't know. Was it using some sort of either tumble upon impact projectile or a frangible projectile? I don't know. Was there something that happened with the rifle to where that round tumbled? And I've said this 100 times. It's unlikely that we would have a tumbling round, because usually that takes place, and there's exceptions, but usually that takes place not far after it exits the muzzle. So it's unlikely that we have a tumbling round that still hits the intended target. Is it impossible? No. So I think if we say something's impossible, I could demonstrably prove that is incorrect, because that is just a fact that nobody wants to talk about or admit, or they don't know. But again, if you get into some of these forums, if you go to like if you go to Sniper's Hide, or you go to some of these reloading forums and you presented that question about some of the gun, to some of these gun nerds out there, 10 out of 10 times you're going to be like, yeah, I could easily hand load a round. Now, with all the gun experts on social media, well, you're going to get 99 out of 100, and Gary's going to be here by his lonesome saying, what are you guys talking? Like, I find it mind-blowing that there's people out there that claim to be ballistics experts, and without knowing a single parameter, a single variable of the ammunition, they can conclude that X should have happened when they know nothing about the ammunition.
Well, I think Gary, it's just the fact that people have hunted with that round, like, for a very long time. I mean, I was just talking to my aunt. My aunt is a hunting legend, in my opinion. I mean, I'm very biased, but like, she has an elk that takes up literally her entire wall. This elk is and it's in a big house. Like, it's insane. Now, granted, she didn't shoot it with a 30-06. I think she shot that one with a 308 Winchester. It was a bigger round, taking down the elk, but suffice to say, she has a lot of kills. She's just an avid sportswoman. I mean, she's incredible. Asked her the question multiple times, and every time there's not a snowflake's chance in hell that his head it's not a cavitation event to where it turns into a decapitation event, right?
Well, hold on. So we actually have a very prolific example of this. Number one, Martin Luther King was shot with a 30-06 without an exit. That's a fact. Number two, another example that we can cite is Butler. So Thomas Crooks was shot with 300 Win Mag, and a 300 Win Mag is more powerful than 30-06 by a significant amount.
Yeah, that was that 300 Win Mag. Yep, that's it.
So he was shot with a 300 Win. Yes, it exited, but his head, he was actually shot in the mouth. His head didn't explode. It didn't blow his head off. It didn't have all these effects that people are claiming to have that would have with a 30-06. And that was with 300 Win Mag with potentially 1,000 foot-pounds more energy than your average 30-06.
Were those through the leaked photos that were put out, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, you saw it take place. We saw, like, there's leaked photos that I have that I could pull up if I would get a strike from YouTube for showing them. I'll send them to you if you'd like. But
yeah.
But we also saw like the pink mist. We saw a part of his hair go flying. I mean, it was a catastrophic event, but his head didn't explode, all these things that people say. And by the way, I've seen this in combat multiple times. Like, I've seen guys take, 7.62 rounds to the head. So I mean, ballistics are a funny thing, but the fact is, anyone that says that you can't get around to do what that does, that's just wrong. It's just.
Would you at least admit that what you're describing is, if it is what happened, it is by far the tiny exception?
No, I wouldn't say that. What I would say is that it is atypical, because the typical rounds are hunting rounds, but I don't know if they were using to get atypical results, you have to start off with an atypical solution, right? But I mean, I have low recoil 30-06 rounds over there. I have a bunch of different rounds that we're definitely going to do, tumble upon impact rounds. Like, the average hunter doesn't know shit about ballistics. They know what
it does to their kill that they just.
Yeah. So like they're using a very narrow selection of rounds available, and so, but they're the other 70% of rounds available, the average hunter doesn't know about or use, and so, like, it's I don't know what to say about that. I don't think we'll ever come to an agreement on the ballistics. So,
right. Okay, so let's switch gears. Let's just go with the prone perched position. So you're on the camp that Tyler Robinson was up on the Losi building with the rifle, and he's the one who shot. Is that?
I'll say right now, the evidence that we have supports that better than any other theory, for sure.
Okay. So this is where things started to fall apart for me, because keep in mind, I didn't have the UVU review footage. Everything changed for me whenever that file hit my inbox. Okay. We can talk about that later if there's questions in the chat. But basically, this whole little investigation for me started really to take off whenever we're looking here at the FBI and their release of the security cam footage. This might be a good spot to just jump into the charging document, right? Sure. Where their probable cause statement, Brian Davis, Utah Bureau of Investigations, he's the one who makes this statement. And it essentially says that the police found the murder weapon, bolt action 30-06 nearby. They talk about.
Got it. You got you're going through the probable cause. I had the charging documents up, so you'll just go through that on your own. Yep.
You want me to go through this?
Were you going through? Are you going through the charging documents or the probable cause statement?
This must be the probable cause.
I believe so.
Yeah.
If it was Brian, whatever his name is. Go ahead.
Yeah. So all in all, they're saying that he arrives 15 minutes before the shots fired.
Yep.
He's walking with a limp. He's got the rifle in his pants. And then everything comes out that we see this person running across the roof of the Losi building at about the time of the shot. So this is where everything just really falls apart, is in this very video that was released, I believe the day after. Is either the day after or 2 days after. So this is really, really soon. And I'll just let it play. There's not a gun anywhere to be seen.
Well, I disagree with right there. There was a gun to be seen. So the problem with this, and Gray Hughes has went through this. I've went through this. Many other people have went through this. If you look at that, number one, you see how his arms and legs almost go clear. What we're dealing with is normal. It's washing out because of low dynamic range. So if you look when he puts his arms down, it actually, you can barely see his arms, and his legs wash out as well. They're thinner than they actually are. But when he actually goes to get off, at one point, you actually see a rigid. You see the gun that is in the towel, and that's thinner than his arms, and we can barely even see his arms in it sometimes because
it looks fluid. It looks like a foam finger inside. I mean,
I agree. It's not. I mean, it's shit video, right? I mean, I think that's part of it.
So the towel. Do you see the towel right there?
Let me see.
I mean, there's nothing in it.
Well, you can.
It bends. I mean,
parts of the towel bend. The rifle is being obscured by his body, and there again, when you get over here, if you zoom in, and I know you're just playing.
Is he still running with the gun right here?
Yes.
It's the gun is exposed.
Hold on. Let me just pull this up. It's worth going through.
Because this is what everything's hinged upon when it comes to what they're alleging happened. And
yeah, it's not the only thing that's we could not have that. I think there's still. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to do you believe or not the charging documents and the evidence they have? And if you don't, I don't know. That's fine. But the fact is that it's going to have to be true, or they're going to be able to the defense is going to be able to quickly undermine the charging documents very quickly in court because, I mean, I don't know what your answer is to when they ask the parents, when the parents' statements in the charging documents that their son admitted it to them. But I am going to try to pull up that video real quick, and I'm going to throw it in Premiere Pro. So
why do you think they didn't include that, Gary? Why do you think that whoever was in charge of putting the video out to the world, why do you think that person within the FBI said, we're going to start right here?
Well, what do you think the purpose of that video was?
Well, I mean, it's not solving anything other than the fact that it shows someone on a roof that's a long ways away.
It wasn't meant to solve anything, and it wasn't meant to convince the world that Tyler Robinson was the one that did it. The only point of that entire video was to have someone identify what was going on, and it worked because both his parents, according to the charging documents, and if you contest those, that's fine. But according to the charging documents, both of his parents said they were able to identify their son from the video clips that we got. The intent here was, I think they were very careful about what they released as to not. I mean, I think that's very clear.
Well, so this is where I'm at. Is they literally did not. They being law enforcement, the FBI. I believe no one realized what type of firestorm this was going to ignite within the public. Okay.
I don't
go ahead.
I don't disagree with that. I don't think that they thought that this was going to be as contested as it was, and rightfully so, by the way. I agree with you that it should be, but I do think that they didn't go into it with that thought in mind.
Sure. So when this video is released, it completely throws a massive wrench, or let's say screwdriver, into things, because this is an impossible shot, or this is this turns the narrative upside down, because we've got someone that was supposed to have been lying down with a rifle, now full stride, running away before people have even ducked.
Oh,
I mean,
if you watch, I mean, do we agree that the shot has already been taken here?
I mean, it would have to be, because people are ducking.
Yeah.
Did you see that? So watch.
Yeah.
I mean, we got here with people that are they're watching, and then they just ducked. So we know with the audio that it was an immediate, when the sound rings out, everyone started to duck.
I disagree with that premise. If you watch what's his face's video? Oh God. He was taking the video from up top. I had him on the show. But it's like a good, so like, first of all, there's a shock that goes on, and you can watch the wave of panic go through the crowd.
Well, what are we allowed to play here? Gary, do I need to not play? Sorry to cut you off, man.
You're good. Don't show any blood. Like I would, yeah.
Counting or not counting gang violence. Great.
So real quick, let me just address that your comment about the movement. So it's my estimation that the video that we're seeing there of him move was 3 to 5 seconds after the shot was taken off, and I think closer to 5. There have been some folks that have lined that up a little bit better. I don't remember what the kind of official count was, but it's at least 3 seconds. And where we see him is within a couple of steps from where he actually took the shot, and you can tell that by landmarks right there. So like, it's not hard to take a shot, get up, grab your rifle, and be moving, and be that far from the initial position after you take the shot within 3 to 5 seconds. Because when you watch, and where is, hold on one second. Let me get his name, because it's going to bug me if I don't. That wasn't it. Great.
While you're looking, Gary, do you really think there's going to be a trial? Like, do you genuinely think there's going to be a trial?
I mean, there's no indication that there won't be. Now, here's what I'll give you. If somehow Tyler doesn't make it to trial, I'm on Team Bednarz with all this. Like, if something crazy happens where there is no trial, yeah, like, I think Adam Bartholomew is the person. But yeah, so that's my answer to that. I mean, there's no indication that there won't be a trial. I think there will be a trial. But if we watch Adam Bartholomew's video, you see that it's like a good 2 or 3 seconds before even people in the front row, after the shot takes place, like they're trying to figure out what's going on. And then you see a slow wave move from front to back. And by the time people are ducking in the back, which is what we see, it's almost a good 5 seconds after the shot. And then, I can pull up Google Earth to show you where he is, but he's literally within a couple of steps at 5 seconds thereabouts, plus or minus. That video shows the shooter about 5 seconds from the alleged, just a few feet, 5 seconds after the alleged shot takes place.
Let me ask you this.
Mhm.
Do you think it was a coincidence that whatever happened to Charlie happened during that line of questioning with Hunter Kozak?
I don't know. That's the honest answer. I don't know if Hunter Kozak was involved. I do think that was really strange. That being said, I think that
I mean, given the narrative that we know now, right? I mean, like how tremendous this issue with LGBTQ people has, how it's played, that it is super weird.
well, did you watch a lot of Charlie's content before this?
Yes, I did. And it was no secret.
His questions were dominated by LGBTQ questions. Because here's what I actually thought about this. If he had been shot during Henry Dill's questioning about Mormonism, don't you think we'd be sitting here talking about how it's a coincidence that he was shot in Utah while a question about Mormonism was taking place? I mean, like,
as long as it wasn't the part where he's turning over and saying that, hey, I love Terrell and I love this guy because they're Mormons and they're on my team and I love more. As long as it was before that, you know what I'm talking about, right? I mean, he says that.
I think it is. Look, I think the timing of that.
Because then it goes to the question of, I think you already know what I'm going to ask is, how did Tyler know?
I mean, I don't know that. Let me ask you this question. Could it have been a coincidence, given the amount of questions that Charlie Kirk fielded at any of these events about LGBTQ and trans? I mean, that was a very heavily trafficked topic in every single one of his debates for the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's just interesting, and you're right. I mean, it could be a coincidence, but it's awfully strange. So I don't want to spend just too much time on the roof thing.
Sure.
What significance was the screwdriver, do you think? I mean, because this was where Kash Patel never comes out. First, we agree that Kash Patel found a screwdriver on the roof, right?
I will agree that it was reported that there was a screwdriver on the roof. I don't even think the screwdriver's in the charging documents.
No, it's not. But he testified before whatever. I forget if it was a Senate committee or if it was I forget what committee it was. But he testified that there was a screwdriver found.
That is correct.
Because they matched it up to DNA. What do you think because they never say that the screwdriver was used to break the gun down. What do you think that is? It they're just kind of throwing out these little lifelines of because they know that there could be an issue that there's not a gun on the roof. That people have actually just as good of TVs that they have at the FBI, and he's like, "Oh shit, we messed up."
I mean, obviously,
he got a screwdriver because he took it apart.
So I don't think he took it apart, and I believe it's actually in the charging documents that he reassembled. It is alleged that he reassembled. I believe so. Let me look where that screwdriver is. Or it's discussed about him getting behind that piece of cover where he goes out of view. But the point is what I think that is that he went up to the roof with the firearm disassembled. And what I mean by that specifically is the action disassembled from the stock, which takes 2 screws. So we have 2 action screws whether you're putting a chassis or a stock on there. And that would have made it significantly more portable. And I think that he has the barreled action and the optic. He could have put the optic on there too. He had time to do it, but I don't think he actually took that off. It would be immaterial if he did. He could still easily make the shot.
Let me ask you this, Gary. Would you take the optics off of a rifle that you're about to pull, one of the most significant assassinations in modern history? Would you be messing with your scope?
I don't think that he did, just to be clear, but he could have. I like to express what I would do versus what Tyler would do. I think would.
Right.
I mean,
it's not a fair question.
Yeah,
but,
it's not.
But I think. Yeah. Right. Okay.
So that's what I think he did with the screwdriver. I think he reassembled a barreled action that had the scope on it already, and put the stock on it when he was behind that little wall, that little area. When he went out of view of the camera, which charging documents state, and then he emerges into view of the camera, and they clearly have him on the camera as it states in the charging document. He can be seen moving in position, and then he actually gets down on his hands and knees and low crawls to the final firing position.
Okay. All right. So the last thing we're going to talk about with the gun, or at least I'm curious to know, is how it's found. Okay.
Okay.
You agree Tyler is a smart kid. Like his, I mean,
I think he's intelligent. I mean, I don't know how. I don't think he's a genius or anything, but I think he's clearly intelligent because he was able to pull this off. And there's some level of, I don't think it's sophisticated, but I think there takes some level of planning. I also think that he's probably a sociopath. One of the things that is very clear in many different things. I don't know if you watched the Turkey Tom video or anything else, but I think it's at least worth watching. But even in his court appearances and other things, like, he seems to be very non-emotional, right? And I think it's a pretty fair assessment if you're going to go kill someone, go through this level of planning and risk. I think he's most likely a sociopath.
Sure. Okay, so he gets away, right? I mean, he jumps.
Yep.
You say he's got the gun wrapped in the towel, and he's away in the woods.
Yes.
Why does he leave the gun? He got away. He got away. What is the point? He just walked off a campus with the gun in the towel, and then he gets to the woods and he's like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna dump this right here so they can find it." Why not just keep it on your person and go to your car?
Well, he would have been seen with. I would have cached it somewhere that I didn't think anyone was. In the woods would be the most obvious place. So he had to walk through a neighborhood with the gun exposed, and.
No, hang on. The gun was never exposed. Hey, are you talking about the security camera where he's walking with it in his pants, allegedly?
Nope. So I'm saying, you asked me why he dumped it in the woods. It's because he would have had to walk through the neighborhood to get to his car. But
he just ran off the campus with it. Like, what's the difference? I guess is my point. Like, he's right there with people walking that have absolutely no clue on the sidewalk. And he's concerned about a neighborhood.
Yeah, he's exposed for a longer amount of time, and he feels like that the woods will be a safe place to cache it, and then come back and get it later. I think it's the most common.
Hang on, does that not make a little bit of sense though? Like that question, how insane? Like. The point I'm trying to make is that all of this stuff it's too perfect. It's too scripted, and it's insane. Like that he's going to leave his gun there because he's clearly concerned about his gun, because he's texting Lance Twiggs about, "Oh, I'm going to feel the wrath of my dad because I got to get that gun." Well, it's clearly on his mind that he's got to get that gun. that he just left and dropped off, that he got away with getting away from campus, it doesn't make a bit of sense. I hope that just a little bit that point resonates.
No, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. Like I wouldn't walk through a neighborhood with the gun if I could drop it in the woods and think that I could cache it and come back later. I think he put it in the woods, was planning to drive by that area. I've been there. It's in a defilade. It's well concealed. And I think by the time he got back there to actually get the gun, there were already law enforcement around the area, because you can see, like, he literally, where he cached that gun, or where I believe that he cached the gun, I think that's a little bit up in the air. Where I believe that he cached the gun is right across the street. You go down into this low area where you can literally walk and not be seen by the cars. And then there's like this wooded area. And where I think he cached the gun, there's like a big thicket. It's the best place to cache that gun. And I think that he thought he would be able to come back later and get the gun. And yeah, I wouldn't want to carry the gun or expose the gun for the same reason that he changed clothes. Like, he was trying to minimize his profile, and between the school in that area, which is right across the street, like, he didn't have a choice. Like, that's what he had to do, which is why he's carrying the gun. Also, if you're watching the video, if you really zoom in, there's multiple frames where you can see what is clearly a rigid object wrapped in that towel, and he's walking in step with the rifle on his left side. So he's using his body and his profile to actually hide the firearm. But then once he gets across the street and he's trying to get to his car quickly, you can't move quickly like that. So, I mean, I think it's logical, and it's probably one of the most intelligent things that he did.
Really? So back to the FBI question, why do you think we didn't get it? Because your question was what does it solve? And my answer, I think, is, well, it actually would quiet the entire world, right?
I'm sorry, what I asked, what does it solve?
You were asking on the video from the FBI that was released.
I gotcha.
Like, what's the point?
What was the intent behind the video?
Well, right. What do you think the intent was behind the video?
So that they could identify the shooter. I think they strategically sent out enough information so that somebody that knows this person would be able to identify them.
Off of that?
Yeah, and it worked, because according to the charging documents, his parents said that they both thought that was his son, that was their son.
Wow. Okay.
I mean,
what kind of shoe? Like, can you see the Converse?
Well, there's other photos, and
yeah, but I'm talking. So this whole thing, this was where, in my opinion, the cover-up began, was right here, because they deliberately did not want us to see what happened at the edge of the Losi building.
I agree. They didn't want you to see what happened at the edge of the Losi building. They wanted to preserve that evidence for a jury. I mean, that's what because
they might be damning.
Yeah. I mean, like, everybody.
Is it more damning than what his parents said? They put out to the world that you quoted his parents. This is the most damning.
I don't disagree with that, but again,
it pales in comparison.
I don't disagree with that, but what I'm telling you is that, like, any law enforcement or prosecuting attorney that you talk to, or defense attorney that you talk to, would state that, like, this is exactly what they would expect out of a case like this, to ensure that he gets a right to a fair trial. And that's their constitutional duty. They can't, like, everybody thinks like the FBI has a job to convince the public that they have the right guy. That's not their job. That's not their role. It never has been. Now, when it comes to trial, when trial arrives, that's when we, the public, are going to be able to make an assessment. Hey, is this BS or not, or what? Because what's going to happen is, the defense is going to get, if the parents didn't say what is quoted in these charging documents, the defense is going to put his parents on the stand and say, hey, did you say that you identified your son from this video? No, I didn't. Well, guess what? Like, I'm with you at that point. Like, unless, and if they do say that, let's say they decided to have a change of heart and they were going to defend their son, which I probably would, like, thinking about it for a while, like, you know what? I don't want my son to go to prison. I'll lie for him. Maybe that happens. Well, guess what they're going to do? They're going to have all this stuff on video and on tape inside an interrogation. They're going to have multiple other law enforcement people come in and say, no, I listened to her statement or his statement, and this is what they said. Like, I think ultimately the proof of whether or not what you're stating on the charging documents or the probable cause documents, that's going to be well hashed out in court. Like, we're going to be convinced one way. I think the reasonable among us will be convinced one way or another, because it's going to be an overwhelming amount of evidence. We're going to see the video of him taking the shot, the video of him crawling up there, because you can definitely see that from that point of view. I've been there. I can tell you for sure that video exists. I think we're going to see videos from 1,000 other cameras that show him moving in place that's much more clear. So, I think some of this stuff we are going to have to assess whether or not we're being lied to by the FBI or Utah authorities at this point when we have the court case. Because my God, if they don't publicize the court and they don't have TVs, video cameras in there, it's going to be a real problem. Or if they don't have video cameras in there, if they don't day by day update the public on what information was released, there's going to be a huge problem, and whatever tiny bit of trust left in the American institution is going to be gone. And I'll be right there protesting with you.
So can I get you just to say right here on the record for your audience and everyone that when this potentially gets pled out, that you will continue the push for all of this information to still be released? Because Gary, I see this coming, like that Atlas 3 thing coming through the atmosphere. I can see this plain as day. It's going to be pled and it's all going to go away, and we're not going to see a lick of any of this stuff, because they're going to get to say, they being the state, he just pled guilty to it. He got the death penalty taken off the plate. He's going to plead as something, and then all of this becomes a dead issue, and we're not going to get a single bit of it because the state wiggled in for him to take a plea, and then it's all over. It's how this happens thousands of times a day around this United States, where the state uses a plea deal and it waters down justice.
I'll say, number one, yes. Like, just because we get a plea deal on this doesn't mean that I would lose interest in this. Number one. Number two, what I will also say is, I think you're potentially right. When you were saying you didn't think this was going to trial, I thought you were insinuating that, he was probably going to unalive himself, Epstein himself.
No.
Look,
no, I see this being worked out between lawyers.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree that that's a likely possibility. I hope that's not what happens. I don't think he has anything to lose other than a death penalty. But I think that's exactly why he pled not guilty, was to be able to plead out a death penalty or remove the death penalty from that. Look, ultimately, too, well, maybe not. I would say that we're ultimately going to hear from his parents, but that's probably not true, even if he gets convicted. I don't know. I think we're kind of at a point where we're at a wait and see. One thing I would like you or get your thoughts on. Can we agree that we've seen more disinformation and misinformation from the internet than we have, or at least equal to, whatever everybody thinks. Even if everything you allege is true, like the FBI lied about a lot of things, or a vast majority of this stuff. What I think we need to realize too is that we're obviously being lied to for a whole bunch of different reasons on the internet, and that we all need to be careful about, I don't know, what we believe, what we don't believe.
Well, it erodes the trust. And this is, look, I am not by any stretch of the imagination some tailored journalist. I'm not.
Sure.
But I also am a 41-year-old dude that's real, and I know how I like to consume the news, and I want to be told the truth. So I'm going to reciprocate that to whoever is looking at my stuff on my little X page. That's basically how I view it. Is I want to put out stuff that I know that I can look at and verify, and there's not any funny business. What do I mean by funny business? I mean by calling a damn trash can a person from an aerial photograph and putting it out for your audience to think that there's a person there, when I don't know if it was you or Diligent that said that was actually a trash can. And guess what? It's a trash can. So whether it's that, whether it is a palm pistol,
yeah,
Gary, it has been one of the single most frustrating things. But at the same token, this is a product of what they created, because we see these massive holes. So guess what? You just created some dude here in little old Lubbock, Texas, that's talking to you here on this night about this with people listening. Like, I should not be having, like, if we all trusted and this felt like it was on the up and up, Gary, I wouldn't probably have met you.
Yeah, no, I look, you're not going to hear me defend the FBI or the U.S. government. We have been lied to multiple times. I don't care what you're talking about, whether it's January 6th, whether it's COVID, whether it's 9/11, whether it's like, we could go down the list. The government has no credibility left. They've weaponized the justice system against us. But my only point is that we can't, with every situation, if we just say, that was a lie before, this is a lie now. This is what happened before, this is a lie now. Like, we have to assess each one of these. And I'm not saying that you're not, because I think that you are. Like, we disagree on what is evidence, but I do think that, generally speaking, your conclusions are evidence-based. We just disagree on what that evidence is.
Sure.
And yeah, that was one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of this, and I meant to. Folks, if y'all aren't following Blake on X, go follow him. What other social media? I have that social media account down in the description below. Are you on YouTube too?
I am, but it's not anything related to Charlie Kirk. It's more or less, I just like to show off my beautiful state and where I live and what we do around here with farming and stuff. So it has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. I've only just pretty much stayed on X.
Gotcha.
But no, I appreciate that. And that's one thing that I can definitively tell everyone is that I have a real life and a job, and I'm not trying to get clicks. I really could care. I mean, it's not about putting out some sensational story on like every afternoon and morning and try and get my click count up so I can make some money. I mean, that is not where I'm at. So yeah, I appreciate the shout out. Let me switch back gears here, because this was important to me, because the text messages, I want to show everyone what a legit, now this is 3 pages of a redacted extraction report off of someone's cell phone.
Sure.
When you go, or the police, when they see someone's phone, when they're doing, they plug it in and it kicks out like a 2,000-page PDF. There's companies out there like, this is Cellbrite. This is what is admissible when it's basically showing your phone. It's got every single thing that you could ever imagine about your phone. And I'm not shitting you. This thing is like 2,000 pages. Okay. Sure. Here's where it's got instant messages. It'll put JPEGs. It'll put a screenshot of the movie. It'll put your Snapchats, everything. Everything. This right here is bullshit.
Okay. I mean, I don't.
So,
I mean, it's a.
Yes. When we hear, look, this took work for, and I understand they're not going to go in and probably screenshot this right here of this legit report. That's what a judge would allow into a trial. But when it boils back to, do I believe what the state of Utah is saying? Hell no, I don't. I mean, like, this is insane. So I just want everyone, like, when you see, this is the only type of report that should matter when it comes to text messages. I understand the Discord messages are going to be different because unless he was on I don't even know Discord, if there's an app or not. If there's an app, it would definitely show up here as well. All of that gets put to bed. Do I think they're lying? Yes, I think they're lying. But this is what a legit extraction report of someone's phone actually looks like. I just wanted to put that out there because it's not where they tell you, or they're going into Tyler's phone and screenshotting and trying to line up the last message that was sent as they're scrolling and they're screenshotting stuff. It is not like that. It's this right here. It's a company called Cellbrite, or there's other it's admissible in court.
Sure.
This should be the standard that we demand.
Well, I think we're going to see that in court. Can I add some context to what they were doing with that particular message? Because again, all it is a transcript of some very selective texts. And and just to give some context of what's going on, I'm going to pull yours off for just a second. Let's see where those those particular text messages are addressed. And so, expanded crime scene investigation. Law enforcement officers follow the suspect's path to the north end of campus, where they believe the suspect left campus and entered the wooded area. In that wooded area, investigators found a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel. The rifle contained 1 spent round and 3 unspent rounds. This is consistent with the facts officers observed at the time of and immediately after the shooting. No shell casings were found on the roof, suggesting a bolt action rather than an auto-loading weapon. So they lay that out, and then we go right into the text messages. And these are transcripts. Each round in the rifle contained etched inscriptions, blah, 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 blah. And then we go down here a little bit further, and we hit the actual text messages. Let me see where we're at. Here we go. All right.
Without a reward, by the way. No one did that. No one in all of the people. I think it was shared about 3.5 million times. I asked for someone to video themselves etching those phrases into 4 cartridges. No one did it. I think I put out like $25,000.
I'll grab a Dremel tool right now and get it done for you.
No tool by hand. Tyler's a poor college kid.
He can't.
Does it say? I mean, yeah, that was. Yeah, it didn't. I mean,
it doesn't say he didn't use it. All it says is that he can't afford a rifle either, but he got that from his parents.
Yeah,
but I digress. Regardless,
yeah, I know.
The point of these text messages is to kind of frame out the idea that he had the rifle. Like, hey, we're talking about the rifle. I'm sorry, I thought they caught the crazy person. They're just showing the intent. Like, this is not the beginning or end, and it's just a transcript of what's relevant to the charging documents. So again, he says, remember how I was engraving the bullets? Blah, 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 blah. So I mean, yeah, these aren't admissible proof of anything. They're just given reinforcement of what was going on with that. I mean, I don't know what's weird about that.
Well, it's weird when you put it against the backdrop of this here video from the FBI, like that extra few seconds becomes an issue. It's weird because it's like it's almost like you're talking out of both sides of your mouth, where it's like he's sitting here talking about the rifle. I mean, it gets as this is if these text messages, whether they're transcript or they're paraphrased, I don't know.
Well, hold on. Let me just clarify something. Like if that was indeed a screenshot of that text report that you have there, would you find them more credible? Because I don't believe that there's anything that I can present to you, Blake, to be honest with you. I mean, you're convinced of a certain narrative, and that's fine. But like there's so many of these, you're like, hey, this is perfect. Well, it's perfect because it's probably what happened. And if it's not what happened and it's not perfect, we're going to hear about it in court. Because if what happened is exactly what is laid out in there, it is perfect because they're just being factual. Because I don't think that there's anything that can be said, whether I show you a screenshot where we blow it up and there's clearly a rigid thing in the towel, you're not going to find that believable. If I showed you the charging documents and we go through, you're not going to find that believable. If we go through the Turkey Tom video, you're not going to find that believable. And there's a lot of.
This is where I'm sorry to cut you off, Gary. This is where it gets. It's too perfect. I'm going to read. This is a direct quote. No. Okay. I'm going to back up. This is Twigs. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then you'll be able to tell when Tyler kicks in.
Sure.
Roommate asks, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" "I am. I'm sorry." "I thought they caught the person." "No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering." Okay, I was glued to the news, and Gary, I had no freaking clue about anybody being interrogated in similar clothing.
Sure.
It's too perfect, bro.
Or it's just what happened. I don't know. Like I just said earlier, and I forgot about this whole piece. You were like, why would he drop it in the woods? And I said, well, because he didn't want to get exposed and he would plan on coming to get it later. I forgot about that portion of the text message. Completely forgot about it. I'm just going off of like what I think would happen. And he states that's what would happen. So that's fine. Like you disagree with the validity of the charging documents, and that's cool. Like we'll figure that out.
Yeah. So let's go over. Like, you want to switch gears and jump into what I'm sure everyone's here for is
100%.
like, okay. So let me bring up this, just sequence this video, or I'll do the screenshots. Okay. First off, how did I get this video? Well, I found the camera that was in Adam Bartholomew's. I'm sitting here trying to find it. It was in Adam Bartholomew's video.
Yep. He's
walking around early, and this is when we're all just starving for information, right?
Sure.
I identify this really nice camera. It looks like it is nice. It's on a tripod. It's got an external mic plugged in. So I went after finding students who might know this person, and students were not giving me the time of day. So I sweetened the pot and said, hey, I'll even pay you for your time if you help out. And lo and behold, I got a copy of the 11-minute and 15-second video that was shot from it was out of the UVU Reviews camera. Okay. Now, the UVU review released this to other news outlets. How do I know that? Well, because they have their own watermark on their own YouTube channel. So, but it's only a 30-second clip, and they blurred out. And it's not a normal watermark like what your video would be. Like YouTube puts it small. This is a big watermark, okay? Like they put it there, superimposed or imposed.
Right.
George Stephanopoulos on September the 11th has my copy. I know that because it's no watermark and there's no blurs, none of that, okay? And there's other, I even found a video, NBC News. So the UVU review blasted this video out. Now, granted, they're not going to be putting, like the only part that George Stephanopoulos with Good Morning America put on was the part where you can see George Zinn falling into the water, right? As everyone is scrambling. He's like waving his hat, it's me, it's me. But they have the video, okay? When I saw this, when I played it that day, I about fell out of my chair because, in my opinion, plain as day, there's an event, there's an episode, there's an explosion going on underneath his shirt. Okay. This is when everything changed. And then people started putting out other video. We started getting some originals that were non-social media compressed. And this is where, in my opinion, these are frames that I pulled out of the GoPro app, okay, because it can divide out instead of just screenshotting, trying to slide your finger and stop it at the right time and then not know if you've got the right frame. GoPro divides it out perfectly, okay? So this is what these are, and I stopped it, and I would just save each frame as GoPro divides it out. And anybody can do it at home right now. Go to the App Store, download the Quick app from GoPro, and you don't even have to pay for it. You just import videos from your camera roll, and you can do this the same way I just pulled a frame here, okay? Sure. So this is, I'm just going to just jump right to it, Gary, okay? This frame right here is the first time that we see a wound.
I agree.
When a rifle round hits the body, okay, and I think, are you on the same page that it hit his neck and that there's no body armor? It hit his neck.
Yes, I believe he hit his neck.
30-06, 5.56. We do not have anything near this here, and we should. There's not a single entry of the bullet entering his neck. What we have is the shirt exploding, coming down, and then the wound is present. That's impossible for a gunshot. It tells me that all of this, okay, there has to be a catalyst event. There has to be like the initiating event. The explosion on his shirt is the initiating event. It's not, and this is across the board in every video. I would absolutely shut my mouth, and I'm sure Turning Point USA would absolutely love this. But if someone produces a video that shows the wound before his shirt starts to dance, it's not there. No one's video. No one's video in all of these. No one's video shows the shirt.
So do you feel like that means that the wound wasn't there before his shirt went up?
Do I feel like that means the wound was not there before? Yes, I do. I do think that. I believe that. Let me go right here.
So real quick before you go there, let's go back to the watermelon thing, because you're saying on the watermelon that we should basically have, I guess you're we should see entry taking place just like we do on the watermelon. Is that what we're saying?
Right.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. So the only thing I would say is that a watermelon is not flesh. And what I would add to context of this for just a second is this video that I shot talking about the ballistics of, and what we see here, this is 5.56 going through a pork roast. And we can see that we don't have this versus the exit wound. So right here on 5.56, there's 9 mil. And as you can see there, that like frame by frame, this expulsion of there is massive expulsion of biological is massive. And if we go back frame by frame, so on the entry side, which is on the left side here, like you see very little movement. And my problem with all of this is the fact that we're going off of a camera. What was the native frame rate? Was it 30 frames per second, Blake?
On the UVU camera?
Yeah.
Yes, they shot in 30.
So
this one here is 60.
Yeah. So 30 frames per second, like we're missing more data when we're talking about a high-speed energetic event like a gunshot. We're missing 3/4 of what's taking place. I do think that if we were filming at a higher frame rate and a higher shutter speed, we would definitely see that wound appear. But everything happens so fast that he gets goes up.
Right. And I understand what you're saying with the frame rate. Okay. But the fact is, like, that's not that is a big part of what happened is that wound appearing. So the fact that it appears after the shirt releases down, it should have appeared before the shirt. Like you have to hold the same, because it's such a big event of the bullet entering.
Sure.
So you have to, it's not like this weird, like the angle of the shirt might have done something weird. In every single video, in every single one of them, the shirt does an oblong maneuver.
Sure.
Would you agree with that?
I do. Yep.
And in every single video, the gush of blood happens after the shirt subsides. Would you agree with that?
Yep.
So, in order for there to be a bullet, with the amount of time, if it is a bullet, the amount of time that the bullet enters, there's frames with the shirt doing stuff that he should have been bleeding into that shirt. The blood did not start until the shirt had calmed down.
Which was in less than 1/3 of a second.
Right.
My point is that is very normal for a wound like that, because the body, number one, you have all this momentum of the round going through. That's why entry wounds take longer to bleed. And we can even see for just a second, if we look at what's going on here we don't have an exit wound, right? So it's kind of hard to compare, but on this exit wound, not only do we have this expulsion of material, but the other thing that we have to understand that's happening internally is that, and we can look at a gel block. If we shoot a gel block, you can see the same thing. That the wound, where the entry wound goes when we shoot ballistic gel, it actually closes up because it creates a vacuum, because we have a high speed projectile pulling everything.
And
Pulling forward.
the footballs is somewhere between 1,200 to 1,500.
And then on top of that, we have flesh that tries to close. Like, you know, we're pretty good. Our bodies are physiologically pretty good at trying to close off a wound. But then what happens is we have that temporary cavitation take place, and then it's going to blow back what we see about a third of a second later, where now this is opening up and we have all of this blood, you know, gushing out. So I think if you talk to the average doctor, if you talk to the average, I was actually chatting with a trauma surgeon today about this very thing. I didn't really know that we were going to talk about this particular aspect of it. But I mean, I think what we see is pretty common. I don't see anything crazy about that. What I am interested in is because we can argue that point to infinity, but I am very curious about the technical aspects of the explosive device. Like because I also saw, at first I thought you were kind of referencing the alleged microphone, which is a transmitter. And then I feel like now you've kind of, or maybe I just didn't understand it, and that's why I wanted to have you on. But now you're saying the cross is, I think, kind of what you believe to be the explosive device. Is that correct?
So it's really hard to say because I'm going to 100% it happened under a shirt.
Okay.
And this is coming from somebody that has never played with explosives at all, but I'm just calling it how I see it here.
Sure.
And using other sources to kind of ask, especially things within, and it's going to be AI like Grok. Is it possible? I mean, sure. the point blank question is it possible for an explosive called like PETN, or there's a word, I can't even say it. It's like octintruban. It's got a compound ONC, and it's apparently it's much more powerful than PETN. And this gets way in the weeds when it comes to explanations and the amount of like milligrams that it would take. But long story short, it is absolutely within the possibility that something could be concealed inside of a necklace, his pendant, or the microphone. And it would not leave what everyone is in their mind seeing. I don't know if they're comparing it to a pager bomb, but that we saw happen over in the Middle East, sure. Or other conventional things like you can't really necessarily compare it to that, but there are compounds of things being able to be detonated.
Okay.
Like it is possible.
Let's accept that premise. I'm down with it. Definitely possible. So are we saying that this was an explosive that created a projectile, or just an explosive, like, because those are very different. So we're either creating propulsion and we're basically creating a small firearm, or we are creating an explosion, and I'm not sure which one we have there.
Right. So, and of course, I'm just going to go ahead and say it because I need to say it, is this would all be put to bed if Turning Point would release their files trimmed up until the moment that you see any blood come out of Charlie. Like if Turning Point would trim their video to right here.
Well, I mean, I think we're going to see that in the trial, but I don't think we're going to see any film or anything. Look, I was like you know, number one, I guarantee you their lawyers and the prosecuting attorney and the defense attorney, by the way, the defense attorney is all told them, like, you will not say anything and you will not release anything until after the trial. And even then, after the trial, I don't know that it benefits them to do so, other than trying to prove some of these things. So here's a couple of problems that I have with what you're saying. It's just the physics thing. Right. I've done a lot of work with explosives. I've never seen, like, you always are going to have an equal and opposite reaction. So, like, if it's an explosion, why don't we see whether it's, let's forget about burning. Why don't we see anything project out of his shirt and rip through his shirt? Because, I mean, if it's enough force to propel an object, then that force has to go in the opposite direction, and it's going to propel whatever it was encapsulated in the other way. Or if we're saying it's an explosion, we would have peripheral burning, peripheral tearing, like whatever it was so well designed that we have really no damage to the shirt. And that's the part of this whole thing that doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Other than the fact of this very complicated, this stuff that report-wise that was put out from DARPA and directional ammunition, and is it possible for? I mean, like it's absolutely saying yes.
I don't disagree with that what you're proposing is possible. I believe that. What I disagree with that's not possible.
We wouldn't see it.
Is for us to have that explosion be enough force to kill someone. That all is possible. I just don't know how the shirt leaves unscathed. That's kind of the part where I disagree with.
Right. No, and I mean, look, it's interesting. It is very interesting. But when we're talking about the jail blocks, and look, Chris Martinson is one of them who Chris finally put out a pretty good in-depth dive on this with his tests. And I like Chris a lot. And I trust him. I mean, that he's doing everything within the realm of trying to find truth. Right. But with his primary, just what it was kind of his nail in the coffin for his argument was the fact that he's got this gel block with a simulated neck, and then he's got a shirt over it with the necklace, and he fires into that gel block. And what everyone has always said is it's the cavitation of his neck is what created the necklace to snap off. Is that what you think happened?
Yes, I do.
The cavitation of the neck.
Yes.
Okay. So let's just say Charlie's 6'4", 6'3". He has a 17-inch neck. Okay. At what diameter does Charlie's neck swell to cavitate to the size of which it would tear off and shoot the necklace? What does his neck expand to if it's 17 inches without blowing his neck up, which is what happens with all these watermelons?
I think that's the wrong answer. The question is, how fast does it do it? Because that's the question. And there's two things there. So, like, let's say it swells to another 3 inches. I think that's possible. But it doesn't matter. What matters is how fast it accelerates the necklace itself. And I think the forces that we're talking about is faster than we can.
We'll go through that. We go through just a little bit more on the necklace. So the neck, it's fast and swells to 3 inches outside of its 17-inch, and that's what. I know you're just using it as an example, but I think you can agree it's not going. The human neck is not going to swell like what a gel block is going to do. I mean, at that point, the skin ruptures, and that's what creates a blowout, is that cavitation. So, but that's what also created the necklace to pop off. Otherwise, the necklace just stays still.
I think the human neck is going to swell at a much greater amount and even faster than the gel block. And here's why. What we're dealing with is hydrostatic shock. And that's the thing. And the key word of that is hydro, because we don't have a gel block that necessarily is full of water and fluids, whereas our bodies are. Like the only thing ballistic gel simulates is it's a decent analog to identify how far we will get penetration from a projectile. It doesn't simulate the human body in any other feasible way. The only way that we'd be able to do that is if we put a cadaver up there, and even that wouldn't be good because the cadaver wouldn't have the fluids that the human body has. So the reason that hydrostatic shock wave is so devastating is because water doesn't expand. And when the bullet goes in there, it moves all this water that was sitting at a static or just moving through the veins. And the rest of our tissue, it's not just blood, it's not just other fluids. Our tissue is highly composed of water. So it takes all of this water that doesn't compress and it starts it moving very quickly. And that's what causes the damage. And that's why 70% of people shot with a rifle actually die, and 70% of people shot with a handgun live. And that's because of velocity in the hydrostatic shock wave that one creates, whereas the other one doesn't. So outside of penetration, a ballistic gel just doesn't do the trick. And I think we're going to get more cavitation and more swelling and faster out of a human neck than we would, a ballistic gel model. And it will stretch a lot. I mean, that's a fact.
Gary, that is the only way that they were able to get the necklace to do something was because the gel expanded to such a crazy size that it snapped the necklace, right? And I get it. I mean, like it's hard to do because it defies all logic. Like we should see much more happening, not just everything initiating from underneath his shirt. I think that's just
based on what though?
Like
I don't know how many. Well, I mean, like I'm just like based on reality envisioned from what? From movies. Like that's the problem is like most people have never seen a person shot before. Like 99% watching this.
I guess my whole thing is I understand that's a watermelon. I get it.
Yeah.
But he was also shot in his neck, which is one of the most vulnerable parts of the human body, if not the most vulnerable. And we don't see anything near what occurs.
So I'm going to agree with you real quick, Blake, in that a watermelon is a better analog for the human neck.
Once it's expanded,
right.
And what I mean by that is what we see right there, because a watermelon is full of water. The difference is that a watermelon doesn't have a shit ton of muscle, ligature, ligaments, all the things that make a human body or any animal neck fairly tough. So we're getting the same expansion, very similar to, look how fast that expands. Imagine if we had a...
Yeah, and you think that his neck stopped that. That's what's crazy to me.
I think his bones stopped that. And I don't think that that's what we're dealing with. I think we have a much different version of those events. If I was to take, again, I think we have a round that isn't normal, that isn't what everyone uses for hunting, or possibly even a damage round. But again, if you wrap that watermelon in skin and muscle, what we would get instead of it shattering like that, because we're not made out of watermelon rind, instead of shattering, you would get a massive expansion.
No, actually, I mean, we're made out of less. I mean, his neck is much less. I mean,
like your neck, we can crack a watermelon much easier than I can trying to crack your neck open and get to, for it to bleed or whatever else. You know what I mean? I think if we kind of mix the ballistic gel and that, like the ballistic gel expands crazy, but I think we get more expansion and faster expansion out of the neck because of the water that's involved. But the fact is like that water, that ballistic gel doesn't break because it stretches and it has some composition to it as opposed to, just a watermelon rind that's behind there. So, I mean, I think,
yeah, and this is where and I hope you will use some of this like test ammunition, like when you do some ballistic tests. I mean, Gary, I'll be up there next week to watch the Red Raiders play. I mean, if like literally, I would love to see this. I mean, I would literally love to see how a 30-06 round, how you can get anything to stop, like that you would legitimately call 30-06 cartridge fired and have it stop into something without it blowing out. I would honestly love to see that. So, okay, this was another big thing. Okay. Above the tent. Okay. Have you seen this?
I've seen above the tent. I don't know what you're referencing specifically.
The shockwave. Like the blast vibration shockwave.
Sure. I don't know that I've actually seen this, so play it.
Let me go back. I'm going to scrub back and forth, okay? It's like a ring. Do you see it at the pillar? You see it right here? It permeates outward, and it is the definition of a shockwave or refraction effects when you've got ample sunlight. This 60 frame, I mean, this is the original video from this person that shot this. I think she's wearing a pink hat. Like, what is this?
Well, I mean, I would I don't necessarily. I'm taking your word for it. I'm not seeing what you're saying is there.
You can't see that. You can't see that shockwave like this. These like they're literally shockwaves from the explosion. And I'll show Charlie because it's right.
I'll take your word for it. I'm looking at the screen. I'm not seeing anything I couldn't attribute to. Well, let's say it's a shockwave. All right, that's fine. So, what is sound?
Ask the question again.
What is sound? I mean,
like audible sound or like what sound like what's legitimate?
Any sound. So, sound is nothing more than us making the air around us vibrate, right? I mean, that's essentially what it is. And what we have, if we had a supersonic round in there, it may show up in that. There's going to be a sonic crack in there, and it's going to move the air. That's what creates the sound. So I don't know, like,
could I send you this and you like do a dive, like just or send it to people?
I will do.
I thought I had shown this to you before.
No, I don't know that I've ever seen that, to be honest with you. Yeah, send that to me. I'll take a hard look at it. I mean,
and anybody listening in the chat, I mean, can y'all see? Do you at least see something over the pillar? Or I mean, I'm pretty sure this is in.
Is that the apex? It looks like the tent slightly moves in front of the apex a little bit, but I mean, it is, and maybe it's just because I have.
So this was everyone at the beginning was saying, because this was one of the videos that was compressed in social media, and you see the flash in the window, right? Right. And everyone was like, oh, there's the gun. It's right there in the window. Let me show you the flash, right? It's hard to stop. This is the thing. Like, this stuff happens so fast. It's hard to stop it right on the actual, right? Come on. But this is the video of that. They're like, oh, there's a flash in the window. Well, no, it's like
A reflection.
It's like it's going off right there.
I just saw it.
Yeah. It's like
analyze
this is an element to the explosion. I mean, that's the only way I read it. I mean, like, and then when we got the 60 frame 4K video, it's like, holy cow, there's also like this smoke ring looking thing. I don't know how else to describe it, permeating from outside the tent as well. Like, and all of this is happening at the very moment.
Well, let me are you saying that flash is a reflection of the explosion?
No, I don't.
Oh.
I think the flash is something that was picked up on the camera from the explosion. I think it has to do with the explosion, not. Gosh dang it.
You don't think that's a reflection?
Did I just trim that? No.
No, you're just scrubbing through.
No, I really don't. I really do not think it's a reflection because of.
Are you saying that's like some artifact created by?
Yeah, they call it like some sort of like a refraction element or condensation of the actual explosion that was picked up on this 60 frames iPhone. I think she was shooting an iPhone 16.
Fair enough. All right, so let's go back to you basically say that you believe that frame where we show Charlie, it looks like it's smoke underneath his shirt, right?
No, I don't think it. I think that is the reverberation from what, in my opinion, is the necklace. I mean, that's the only thing it can be, because if we go back to,
what do you mean by reverberation? Like I don't understand.
Like a vibration, like it's
a motion blur from the necklace moving really quickly. Is
yes,
that
yeah,
okay.
because on this frame, on this video right here, the initiating sequence of this video is the necklace snapping.
Yep.
So that's what we're seeing in all of these videos. Where's the other one from the people on the right-hand side? This might not be the 4K. I'll have to find the 4K. No, it's not. I have the 4K saved. So here you see the necklace snap. The shirt is moving. You could sync up these in theory where you got every angle in sync. But in my opinion, we're seeing the necklace snap, and that is the initiating sequence. That's just what it appears. I mean, I'm not seeing anything like over here with the blowout. I'm not seeing, I mean, there's none of that. You don't see in skin. There's no shot. It's like the explosion is initiating everything.
Okay. So how do you explain that picture right there? What is that where we looks like, to me, would be the projectile going through him and creating an expansion of the rear of the neck and the spine? But
will you use your mouse and put where you think the bullet? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I can't do it. But so like there's here's what I'll do. Let me pull up a different picture real quick, and let me remove this from stage. Stop. And I'll add another one, image file, and I actually don't think I have the picture I thought I had. At least I'm sure I did. I just don't know where it's at. But anyways, you can see like the projection of what looks like where it looks like it's almost going to exit basically on the back. Like I'm trying to reconcile it. Let's say it was an explosive, right? So we have the whole, number one, the necklace. We agree that the necklace is down here, right?
Correct.
We agree that if it was the microphone is over here on his right side, correct?
Correct.
And then we have a wound here, but then we see like a transfer of energy, and we see an expansion that comes to an apex back here. How does that make sense?
From the necklace is what I would submit, because I don't see where anything. Look, if you've got the shirt blowing out back here, okay, you should have his entire neck blowing out with it.
I mean, I don't agree with that. Well, look, I mean, the necklace does blow out, right? So whether it was a firearm or it was an explosion and it breaks the necklace, then we would still have the same cavitation effect. It was just caused by two different things. So why doesn't his neck blow out from the explosion? Or are you saying that the
Yeah. No,
neck
I don't think
is
so. This
breaking?
is where
Gotcha.
right. No, so I think you might be thinking that I believe both of those impacts are equal, and I don't think that, Gary. I think this was something like baby that hit him and shocked him. I think it literally created a superficial wound that we saw an initial gush of blood from, more than likely, a vein, probably something around the jugular, and that's what created that gush, not that complete arterial squirt. And
Well, I mean, hold
I
on.
think that's why a lot of people have said that there's
Just so we're clear, especially the jugular vein, that can squirt too. It's not just arteries that squirt. Both are
right. No, it's
high volume vascular pathways. I mean, that's
right. But what you just described absolutely makes zero sense for a rifle being shot, because there's no splatter and there's no splurt. This would be the first time a rifle is shot into someone's neck and there is not blood spray and splatter everywhere. This literally will be a textbook. Like, it's impossible. Like, you can
not, because literally Martin Luther King was shot with a 30-06 and there was no exit wound. So therefore there was no splatter, there was no spurt. You're not going to get splatter or spurt out of an entry wound. I mean, that just doesn't happen. I've seen entry wounds that I've created.
So what did we get then? Okay, if you like what you just said, will you repeat it? Of what we're not going to get from an entry wound?
You're not going to get spatter or spurt from an entry wound.
But a gush.
Seconds later, we still have a wound. We still have an ability to exit the body. Yes, that's very like sometimes guys can get their arms amputated and it doesn't bleed at first. And it takes, because your body does a really good job of trying to seal vessels and the skin and everything else. Like, it does collapse down and then it'll just let go. I mean, that's a very real thing. Just like you don't see a lot of if you shot a deer in an artery, you're gonna see the exact same thing, where it's like it takes a minute for that blood to gush out, and like that's just how entry wounds behave. And you can find those things,
Right. And I think the fact that it was in, would you agree, like, probably our neck is the most vulnerable spot?
In what way? Like, I mean, like vertebrae or some of the
let's go with the lack of support. I mean, I understand you have your vertebrae back here, but you've got super important things. Your esophagus, you've got some very fine muscles that control like movements and stuff. Like, this is and then this is the highway of everything, delivering blood from your heart to your brain. And I mean, it's super important. Yeah. And it can be super exposed, and it's not that big. I mean, some people have thick necks. I mean, we're not talking about the wrestler Goldberg. We're talking about Charlie Kirk, very average guy, right? He was tall, but like, it just doesn't make sense. So the first thing, so you're saying the bullet, it stops in his neck, the vertebrae, or I don't think I've asked you this. Do you think that the vertebrae Are you buying the magic bullet theory from Andrew Colvett?
I mean, I don't know that I would call it a magic bullet.
Or the man, I'm sorry, the Man of Steel. I'm sorry. He's the Man of Steel, in that he saved more than likely people's lives standing behind him.
I've addressed this before. Look, Andrew Colvett is he's a PR guy. I think that whole statement was so dumb and silly to say that like you're not going to hear me defend that silly statement. Do I think that, according to the evidence that we have, that his spine, his vertebrae stopped the bullet? I do at this point. Until we get something else, I mean, that's what I have to go off of. I think that's more likely currently than a exploding device around his neck for, I mean, a lot of different reasons. Let me share this video with you real quick and just get your thoughts on this one. All right. So we see his neck expand a lot here. And this isn't even like that. Like, look at that. I mean, that's huge. I mean, we're definitely talking circumference 3 or 4
Go
inches.
back. I think we're looking at the same video.
Look, there's some more. I mean, look at how deformed his skin is and how much it's stretching at this point. I mean, that's circumference wise, or even diameter. You can go either way. I mean, we're talking 3 or 4 inches, and we see that right here. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse, or probably not, but you can see the necklace is broken right there. But this expanded extremely rapidly, and it gets very big. I mean, this is exactly what I would expect to see with a gunshot wound to the neck. I would also
tell you what it looks like to me is something's happening down here, and he goes to
let me make it big so I can see what you're doing. There you go.
Yeah, he's right. I mean, there's a shockwave occurring under his shirt, and his neck, he's flinching, and yeah, I mean, it makes us look, because it's happening here.
Hold on, Blake. Look at this.
Yeah.
This is not. I couldn't make my neck do what we see here if I shrug my shoulders and I flinch. Like, this is, if you look at the back of his hairline, we're talking about the neck expanding 3 or 4 inches from normal size. If I go back, look, this is his skinny neck, and then boom. That's not a shrug of the shoulders. That's a hydrostatic shock wave inside your neck parts. I mean, that is massive, the difference there. And even here, like, that's not, I mean.
Where do you think the necklace snapped from?
What's that?
Where do you think the necklace snapped? Like, where was, like, did it snap down by the pendant? Did it snap over to his right hand side?
I think it snapped at the cross, or whatever was hanging from that, because basically what we had was his neck, the back of that necklace was being held, it was resting on the back of his neck. This is what expanded quickly, and then we have a counterweight down here, the cross itself, that's holding it in place. And I think the resistance from that, number one, it makes the whole cross go upward, which is why his shirt goes up like this. We have rapid,
and the necklace goes upward. How with this, like, what you're saying, a hydrostatic shock is what into the neck that we can't see, creates a cavitation, snaps the necklace to where we have it break off back here. Still, we can't see a wound. The necklace comes over here,
the free running in
the sides, and then we see the wound.
I mean, I don't know if that's the exact. So he gets shot, right? He gets shot.
Okay, hang on. He gets shot here, right?
Oh, he gets shot on the left side of the neck.
Okay.
All right. The neck expands to the rear. We can see that right here where it first starts. Boom. All right. So this is where it first starts. You can see right there at the back of the collar where we see this rapid expansion. That is what's going to initiate the movement from the cross going upward. it goes up. There's so much force there that it ends up, his neck is still expanding right about, let's see where we actually see the cross go up. The cross is already, we can't see it from the other side, but we can see that the necklace is broken. It's actually, you can see it in his hairline at that point. So that goes up. All right. The cross goes up in this direction on the right side. It's actually on the left side where he was hit. All right. That gets snagged. It snaps from that cross. It actually, the necklace wraps around and is actually hung at the collar. And you can see it from another video where that necklace is actually just laying, looks like it's caught at his collar by his left side. Have you seen that video?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just the order, you're out of order. Like the necklace is the first thing to go.
It's the first thing you might see go. But again, we have expansion in between frames. That's the problem. Like 3/4 of the information that we need to make a determination on this, it's happening so fast in between frames. Like it's already started to expand here, right there. All right. And this is the first frame that we see. And this is a great example of this. The first frame that we see the necklace, it's already up by his ear. We don't see the necklace move from his shirt to up above his ear. We know it happened.
Well, because it snapped. It had to have snapped.
I understand. But what I'm saying is right about here, we could see everyone was saying it was the earpiece. You remember that?
Yes.
So
I was one of them.
that is the first frame that we see the necklace in. Now, we all know that the necklace moved from, if we agree that that's the necklace, and I think you and I do, we know that we have like 7 inches of movement in between frames from his neck up to his ear, above his ear, that we don't have captured on film because it's happening so fast in between frames, because we only have a 30 frame per second video. And what we would need to see the full events is something probably like 1,000 frames, 1,200 frames, or even higher. And we know that movement occurs because, I mean, that's just how physics works, but we don't have it captured on video itself.
Yeah. And I guess that is that's going to be where everything just hangs on, is the fact that, quite frankly, the only video that will show this without, I mean, it's going to be the highest quality video.
Yeah.
Is controlled by TP USA. It's allegedly been turned over to authorities. That video, and then a couple of the hired photographers, I don't think they were pointed at that direction, but for sure the two cameras, I think the one that is to Charlie's, you'd be back here to his left, that one was trained in on the speaker from what it looks like. So it would be the front left and then the one back behind.
And unless, I don't know what FPS those, I mean, they may be running at 60. I doubt they were running 120. I even, like, anytime that I shoot outdoors and I'm capturing like action shots, I'm usually only 30 frames per second just to keep the files fairly small, like doing shooting courses and stuff like that. So I don't know if we'll necessarily get more. I mean, we'll definitely get more detail, more information. I don't know if we'll be able to get
Right.
some of the information that you and I are wanting, which is like, we need something, 1,000 frames per second to like be able to really tell what was going on in this high speed energetic event. Well,
Right.
Hold on, Blake. I think we've agreed on and disagreed on pretty much everything that we will. Let's get to some questions. We're right at 2 hours. So
Yeah, for sure.
was there anything else, any other points you wanted to make before we move to questions?
No, I'll just go with the last little part here of the person that I would love to know who this person is. And if y'all will bring this up right here, is this guy right here. And if anybody's been following my channel or my page, I call him Minivan Man. I want to know who Minivan Man is. Okay.
Which guys, this I'm a little hesitant to do this. I'm not a big fan of
Okay, that's fine. We don't have to. I'll just tell you this much
go
that
to
yeah,
Blake.
well,
He has that there. If you guys want to know that guy, I'm not a big fan of like pointing people out in the crowd and kind of.
oh no, well, this person worked for Turning Point, but I understand.
Yeah, even if I'm not saying that you're trying to implicate him, but people will jump to that conclusion one way or the other. And
Fair enough.
I understand that you just want information from him. I just hate to cast dispersions on people and when they.
Let me just put it this way to you, Gary. That individual did not show any of the other playful, happy emotion that any of the people that were with Turning Point USA that day were exhibiting. Zero.
Okay.
And during the lead up, people are standing there waiting for Charlie to come to the tent, and people noticed him because it was odd, because he did not look happy. And people videoed him, and all I'm going to say is there's something in his right hand, Gary, that I would love to know what it is.
All right, fair enough. I'll give you the last word on that. Let's jump to some questions real quick. Matt B became a YouTube member. Yeah, if you guys want to become members, look, we really appreciate it. Help support the channel. I appreciate it. Look, I'll just tell you right now, any rude or disrespectful comments, I don't care if you paid $100 for them to be viewed, I'm not going to do it. All right. So just understand that if it's rude or disrespectful for me, I don't care, but we're not going to do that to guests. If you're going to disagree with someone, do it on the merits. That's what we teach here. And that, by the way, if you give a shit about what Charlie believed in, you'd believe in discourse, and you would believe in, arguing things on the merits of the facts, as opposed to just attempting to get rid of them. And whether that's get rid of them by attacking their character, all the other stuff, it's just dumb. Don't do it. Be better Americans than that. Would a subsonic be able to hit a target from that distance? Also, the sound was clearly not subsonic. Yes, you could definitely hit a target from that distance subsonic. We do it all the time. I don't think or even suggest that it was subsonic. I was just making a point that if I wanted to make a subsonic round, I could, just to clarify on that. Gary, I hate that you have to revisit the no way it was a 30-60 session again. You've already established this. We don't know the details of the bull. I was hoping we get to hear some different content from your guests, and we did. These, by the way, these questions were submitted like within the first couple minutes of the show, and I think that Blake covered a lot of ground that I definitely never heard before, and I appreciate, I appreciate what he had to say. I don't believe Grandpa's gun nor some special round was used on the roof. However, Gary sticks to the facts and charging documents, and his plate theory is all that makes sense. Mischarge equals mess. All right. I disagree with my own plate theory now. I just want people to clarify that. Love your work. Hope to get out there and train with you. Make sure you get some range time, brother. We're just on the range. Spent all day Monday training with some private clients, and it was a great time. And I just finished a podcast with Defiance Machine, and I got to tell you, it was nice to go take a break from this and do some gun content. And I'll be releasing that in the next couple of days. Thanks for the 3D model. Thank you. That was very generous of you. I appreciate the $100. Tyler is so smart, he doesn't know he's in love with us. That's a fair statement. Anyways, we'll skip on that. It's pronounced cash like money when used, I think, is context. He didn't have a screwdriver to take apart gun in woods. That's why he left gun. I don't know that would have mattered, but it's a fair point. He used a screwdriver. It was left on the roof. Point of the roof video was to show that they were suspect persons of interest. Hopefully,
let's entertain something real quick, Gary. Let's pretend that he does disassemble the gun. I mean, there's no way he does that running across that roof, right?
No. I've never suggested that he disassembled the gun. The only person that ever said he disassembled the gun was Governor Cox. And I think, again, Governor Cox is a politician. He speaks out of his ass most of the time. Nobody in law enforcement has ever suggested that. That was basically it was at the first news conference. That was before he actually turned himself in. So that was either that night. Yeah, I think it was that night. They found a screwdriver, and Governor Cox just
Didn't Cash found it? I thought Cash found it on the roof.
I don't know who actually found it. I don't know. I don't know who actually found it. My point is that there was a screwdriver found on the roof. All I'm saying is that Governor Cox was the only person that suggested that he took the firearm apart after he committed, which also caused a lot of controversy. People felt like that was an official statement. I guess technically it was, but it was a statement by a politician, not law enforcement. So I think that ended up being misinformation that confused a lot of people. Appreciate the honest conversation. Got to say, I'm more in line with Gary. Fine. A lot of people on my channel are going to be, and that's fine. And I applaud Blake for coming on explaining this. He's not going to get a hostile environment from me, and I hope he doesn't get one from you guys. But he's opened himself up to criticism, as we all do, to get on here. So thank you, Blake, for doing that.
I can handle it.
Yeah, I know you can. Plea deal or found guilty is pretty much game over. Blake, you're a very common sense, right? I agree. It is all BS, but you have no proof, and none of these other theories make sense. Gary's smart enough to know they have more. They have more is what he's saying. Yeah, I mean, I guess that. Oh, one thing I did want to talk about, Blake, I think is a really important part of this conversation is kind of the fire that you came under, where people, again, 'cause here's a problem. Like, all of us in this space, if we're trying to find the truth, we should be able to have conversations like this without me calling you an idiot, you calling me an idiot, which would probably be warranted. But, like, we should be able to have these conversations without attacking each other and everything else, unless it's somebody that's just blatantly grifting, right, and lying. And I think a few people can come to mind. Kind of, Blake spoke of one earlier. That being said, you came under a lot of fire from many content creators on the video itself, saying that you altered the video, you changed, all of those things. Like, talk a little bit about that, because I don't.
Single-handedly did so much damage early on that I still. It's shocking to look back and think that I had one person who was they had Homer Simpson put on the video from the UVU review. They were calling my video fake, and their video that had Homer Simpson trying to point out stuff from the UVU review that was blurred out, calling my stuff fake, and then I'm telling you, it absolutely blew my mind, because number one, Gary, I spent a shitload of time trying to track down. I don't think people understand how hard it is to let alone find someone in a crowd, but then talk them in to giving me their video, bro. Like, literally the biggest slap. And then, and I just put it out early on.
Yeah.
And I see it across the world now. There's no telling how many millions and millions and millions of views that my video that I put out got, but just people attacking me personally on my page for doing it. Look, if I hadn't have done that, it wouldn't be out. Like, I don't even know. No one would know that the video is 11 minutes and 15 seconds long. I mean, I have the screenshot from their teams showing it, like their team's inner company dialogue. One of the dudes is like, "Hey, beware. This is the full unedited version. Careful. Like, just wanted you to know what you're about to watch. Be careful." I mean, real.
Well, and the other thing too is you had people basically dox you. They were trying to, you attended a church called Turning Point. I don't even think it's your main, but people were trying to link that to you and say that you were with TPUSA, that you were an agent.
Yeah,
and
bizarre.
Pictures of your family, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So this isn't the government doing this, folks. This is people on the internet that they're so worried about their theory being proven incorrect or views and clicks that they think that they should be getting to go after people at a level that, I mean, it's disgusting, quite frankly. And I think anybody that's doing that, I don't think deserves your views because they're not an honest broker of information. And I think that's very, I don't know. Hopefully you guys have a little bit of cogsec check on that and understand what you're looking at when you have people going after people personally when there is no clear evidence that they're lying or anything else, which is another thing that I have a problem with, accusing people in this event of, blatantly this person did this or this person, whatever else. So we all need to be careful about that and understand that we're talking about fellow Americans, and that if we are going to accuse someone, whether of, messing up a video or being involved in Charlie's murder, we should probably have a little bit of evidence to go along with that, and then do it in a way that isn't disgusting and go after someone's family. Why drop point if you're the lone shooter? I think we covered that. I'm sorry if anyone offended by what I'm saying about, oh God. All right. We're not going to do that. He was seen jumping off the roof with a rifle. Yes, he was. People will disagree, and Blake doesn't feel like he's seen with the rifle, so I think that's worth pointing out. And people disagree on that point. The neck is connected to the upper chest cavity, mostly filled with compressible airbag. Curious to see autopsy for any chest organ damage. I think there was lots of, I still think that there was, I think that's how we get to the midbrain damage that has the decorticate posturing. That entire episode and that hydrostatic shock wave is going to go up into the midbrain. It's going to damage the spine above and below. I think we're going to see lots of damage, and hopefully we do hear a more detailed account of the medical exam. Blake is basically saying he doesn't want this to die without real answers. We agree. Gary, stud, supersonic bullet is blowing him apart at 140 yards. I disagree. We had about 140 yard shot with 30-06. We didn't have any blow. It did have an exit wound with Tyler Brooks, but we also are dealing with a 300 Win Mag versus that. And I do think there are multiple hundreds of possibilities and scenarios where we could have a round that wouldn't exit. You're not going to get it done if you're just using normal hunting ammunition. Bednarz super controlled explosive trajectory, but the shock wave is uncontrollable. That's why his shirt pops from the back. All right, that's Team Blake there. I don't think the runner took the shot, but the shot was head on. Videos minutes after it happened showed crazy impact, blood on the collarbone, and reflects to neck. You hit plate, it blows air out, and shirt comes to life. Okay. I've got explosive handling experience. Even just a blasting cap would cause rips to the shirt and a centralized injury where it was located. I generally agree with that assessment. For those who don't think a 22-year-old could pull this off, please explain what you were doing at 22 years old. When I was 22 years old, thereabouts, I was 22. I was running around Iraq during the initial invasion, and by the time I was 23, I was a sniper team leader, doing cool stuff, planning missions, and going out on multiple day missions with one other guy. We'll hit a few more lives. Too many people would have to be in on it, and fraud just not probable. I typically agree with that. Deus abscondus. How does Blake know he wasn't sold a dodgy manipulated file? Upload the original to shared drive for expert analysis. I saw Deus abscondus trolling you a bit today on Twitter.
Yeah.
What's your answer to that?
No, I absolutely will. I'm just not going to entertain. I'm not going to give someone who is going to call my video a fake time and time again. I didn't realize who this person was until like today, actually. And I just happened to stop. I mean, I just, like you, Gary, get thousands of comments. And I mean, when I wake up, the notification bell is maxed out. But this person shot up on the radar, and then I kind of looked through what they were talking about, and they've been basically calling the video a fake for the last week. I will send it to whoever for it to be verified. I'll show you the teams, or I already put that out. The team's chat to show exactly where I got it from. I can show you the email it came from, how I made contact on Instagram. I mean, the whole 9 yards. I'm just not going to do it to you because I think you're a douchebag.
I mean, that's fair. Like, I mean, look, here's the thing, folks. Like,
he could have asked me normally first, Gary. He could have asked me normally, man. He could have been normal.
I get that all the time where I'm with you, and I address it the same way. I've gotten to the point I just don't respond. And I'll tell you, that has been the most.
I didn't want to get to that point though, man. You know, like I didn't want to get to the point where like you, because it's like, man, that goes against everything. Like I reached out to so many people and no one gave me the time of day, and I just turned into them.
Yeah. Look, getting to a point where I don't feel like I need to respond to someone that's clearly operating not in good faith has been like, it's been a growing experience in the last few months. And, you know, these people aren't worth it. And I agree with your approach on this. Like, ask nicely, be a collaborator, not someone that just intent on tearing people down. And like, you know, you might, you know, honey gets more bees than vinegar. I don't know what to say. Don't be a dickhead. Not that hard. Just be a good person.
Simple. But yes, to answer their question, I absolutely will. I'll turn it over. Gary, if you got somebody, I will hand it over.
You know what?
Quite frankly, like, I mean, to me, that person is not acting in good faith. Why would I hand over the original so they can sit there and talk shit on the original? Then I'll hand it off to someone that I know is a good and decent person, not some anonymous fake alien, you know, type of thing.
Yeah, and look, my producer's a whiz kid on this stuff, so send it to us, and then we'll post the metadata and the results, and you know we can go through there if that's what you want to do. Philly Chenoweth says, "Thank you, Blake, for doing the research and shedding some light on things. Hopefully, this is all solved. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk." One thing I do want to say is that Blake, and one of the reasons he's on here, number one, every time I've talked to him, he's been a great, awesome, cool, decent person. Number two, he's put his money where his mouth is. He's invested time, energy, cold hard cash, trying to get videos and doing things. So like, this is so much more than so many people out there just talking smack and creating videos. Like, you know, not to toot my own horn, but like I went to UVU. I did a few things. Like I've spent a ton of money on this. And, you know, I had this come to Jesus moment with my wife the other day. You know, she was telling me, look, our sales are down the last 2 months, 58% of what they normally would be. Folks, whatever little bit of tidbits that I get from views and whatever else, I've been doing this because it is a personal passion of mine. I want to make sure that we figure out what's going on, and whatever little bit of money we've got from views, which is not that much, by the way, it is not even a tenth of what we've lost in revenue from lost sales of all the time that I've dedicated to this. And Blake is in the same boat, and there are many people out there that are out there doing great things and are actually going out there and doing things as opposed to just making content from behind their keyboard. So my hat's off to Blake and everybody else out there doing real work.
Yeah, I reciprocate that.
Let me see. Mr. Ken, aka Chiller, good night, buddy. Thank you. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you like, subscribe, all those things. We appreciate that. Young men are capable of a lot more than you think they are. The military depends on it. I agree with that. We've gotten to a point, and one of the things I was talking about with Blake the other day is that he's part of a men's group, you know, and he does some things like that. Like that is so important that we get more leaders out there more men, manly men out there being mentors to the next generation. Like the idea of soft American kids growing up, not being capable, that has to end. And that's an outside problem out of this. Deus Abscondus, let's just be real. I saw some of your tweets. They were not friendly. They were extremely dickheadish. And I'll just tell you that I was like, Jesus Christ, why is this guy going so hard after Blake over this? So just being I don't know, fair arbiter here. Like, I don't know, try to be nice next time. Maybe apologize to him. Maybe he'll change publicly. Justice needs not just to be done, but needs to be seen to be done justly. John, Aaron Mappin. I agree with that. My only thing with that statement is that we still have a justice system that works in a certain way, whether we like it or not. And we're not going to get all the answers prior to the trial. I think if we don't get answers after the trial, or even if, like Blake suggests, which I think is a real possibility, he pleads out and we don't see a trial, we need to make a big push to make sure that all the information is released. What I don't want to see happen is another Thomas Crooks event where he's killed on top of a roof and then we never hear anything. And the FBI and the U.S. government is so indignant toward the American people that they don't think they have to give us answers on that. I think that's BS, and it's the wrong answer.
Yeah, they have to know, Gary, that one way or the other, that the entire the videos and everything has to be released. And I mean, it's what has to be done. I mean, we're not going to forget. I mean, like, this has made too big of an impact on all of us. I mean, this really hits home. So yeah, I
agree, and we'll see. Look, I have lots of criticism over Kash Patel. I'll still take Kash Patel and Dan Bongino over Director Ray, and maybe that's maybe the best of the least evil out of the two. Maybe that's maybe I'm compromising too much there. With that being said, I'll still take Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. What I think we will see on this particular issue, forget about Epstein files. It's a whole other case that I could go on about all day. We need to get the Epstein files, and I think he has not done a good job in that, to say the least. But on this particular issue, if Kash Patel doesn't make real efforts during and post-trial to make sure that he is transparent about what took place, and I know also some of this is going to be in the jurisdiction of Utah. That may be a challenge as well. But like, we don't see everything on this after it's all said and done. Me and Blake will be down at the Utah courthouse freaking protesting. All right. Any other significant questions? Let me just make sure we don't have any more super chats. We got one last super chat that just popped up. It is personal for all. I didn't love Charlie, but this act is disgraceful and pisses me off. We all know this is going to end in BS. By the way, your buddy Gray 100% said rifle was disassembled. Okay. We talked about this the other night, Mr. Huff. If he said it was disassembled, all I know is that he definitely corrected the record later on. That's fair. Gray was in the chat earlier. You can take it up with him. I do know that is not his stance now, and we all make mistakes. We say things, and so much has changed. You know, I said he was wearing body armor. I was wrong. All right. But I was acting in good faith, and it was a plausible, good theory that explained a lot.
Yeah, it was a valid question until, like, we got more video, right? Or we had photographers put their.
Yeah. And I just recently got confirmation that from a person whose opinion I trust, that said, look, Gary, there wasn't body armor. And I trust this source. Yeah. And you'll be seeing more of that at some point too. All right. All right, folks. Blake, I'm going to give you the last word. Anything you want to leave the viewers with?
Yeah. Well, first, just I want to echo what you said. The fact that we're all on the same team, like we really are. I know that sounds kind of cliche, but we really are. I genuinely feel that we are all trying to find out what happened to Charlie, right? That this was a father, a husband. He should be getting ready to celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas with his two youngsters. Like, and I'm a dad, you're a dad. Like, man, it hits home. Like this guy, like
Yeah.
Charlie was a good dude.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. And if we don't stand up, Gary, if we don't at least give a hell of a pushback to show that, number one, with social media, we have a voice. No matter where you are, if you're in West Virginia or if you're out in West Texas, it does not matter that people are going to be talking about it. That's important. And it also needs to go to show that you can't get away with stuff, whether you are a lone gunman or you're part of a bigger scheme, that people and cameras are everywhere, and people and cameras, they're going to be talking about it. Like it's just how it is. And we have to, because if we don't push back, if we don't at least have a check and a balance on this whole thing, like, man, this is not a country that I want to live in. I mean, it's actually quite scary if you think about it, man. Like, you hit it right on the head, Gary. You said this is what Charlie stood up for. The First Amendment was important to him. You and me right here, right now, we are exercising that First Amendment. We're sitting here talking about stuff, and we're trying to get to the bottom of what happened to him. And I'll just leave it with this. I'll never forget picking my son up for school or from school, and he was talking about running for, can't remember if it was NJHS president or student body president at his junior high. And it was around Charlie's, like, with the whole thing was fresh still with all the kiddos, right? All the school kids. It was talked about quite frequently. And he asked me point blank, he's like, man, I don't know why anybody would ever want to be like in a leadership role like that.
Yeah.
And it hit me hard, because I was like, holy smokes. Here is my son questioning, wanting to step up and lead and do something within his little school government. And this has an effect on him.
Yeah.
So whoever's behind it, shame on you for doing this and putting our kids and our nation through it.
Well, and there's clearly an effort. Look, there's clearly an effort to get guys like me and you away from discussing this, casting dispersions, fed, paid by Israel. Apparently, I don't know if you heard this, but I have been paid $10 million. I heard this in the chat. I don't know where that's coming from, but I've been paid $10 million from Israel. And so, yeah, anyways, like, folks, keep them coming.
Keep buying up some parts of West Virginia, getting some extra acreage there.
I'll buy all the acreage. I have loyalty to one country, and I've said it before. I'll say it again. I would die before I change my opinion for money or any other influence. So anyways, that's where I stand on that. And I agree, like, truth matters. And the other thing too, going back to kind of touching what you said, like, if we can't even agree with Charlie, like, hey, we need to have discourse and how we should all be on the same team. If we can't even do that on the right, which I think most people that are trying to search this out kind of say they are some version of right, we can't do that, then how do we expect our political adversaries to do that? Which I think that's a whole nother issue. One of the problems that I have is if it is Tyler, and I personally believe that most of the evidence points to that, that tells me that this kid was radicalized by rhetoric on the left, and that has been lost. And even if he wasn't, let's say something else happened, like the rhetoric of the left promoting violence and to get rid of your enemies. First, they start with character assassination and they try to destroy you that way. And if that doesn't work, ultimately they're promoting kind of dog whistles for your removal from this world so that you're no longer a obstacle. And if we can't even come to agreement that, like, hey, on the right, we need to act civil, talk once among each other. And even if we disagree, we're going to get more done together than we ever would or just trying to tear each other apart. So thank you for being part of the solution, Blake, because you are. You're a great American. I'm going to throw this comment just jumped up, and I don't want to leave this hanging, or I wouldn't even bring it out. And you've told me this before. You think that basically the sound that we're hearing, both from a gunshot perspective and or the sonic crack, you think was basically pushed through the PA system, right? That's your
Right.
All right.
Yeah. If you go and listen to the 11-minute, 15-minute, or 15-second video, there is a clear audio issue that occurs whenever Hunter Kozak begins to speak. Okay. There's a lot of things happening in that video. But I've pretty much outlined a lot of things on my page, and I'm going to continue to put out content on things I believe need to be looked at from people. But all in all, yes. And I was watching Home Alone the other day, actually it was back over the summer, and it just made me think of if a gunshot rings out. First, the gunshot is a very important part of this whole thing, because without a gunshot, Gary, you don't have people thinking it was a gun, right? I mean, the gunshot, and of course, this is what operating under the pretense that there was an explosion, something other than a gunshot. So they have to have that element. So what I think happened is
Hold on.
Yeah.
Give me just a second to, like, Regina, you keep spamming this. Tell Gary to let the guest talk. Like, I've let Blake talk. I've tried really not to talk over him. We've had a dialogue. That's what this is. So
For sure.
just stop.
Yeah, that's not warranted. Thanks for backing me up there, Regina, but not the case at all. So the PA, what it sounds like to me, and look, I used to blast my speakers, especially my dad's, when the output is cranked all the way up, but there's nothing being transmitted. There's some backfeed happening, and it seems to me that the microphone was picking up, his handheld was picking up possibly some output that was raised all the way up. And it was played out over the speakers. There's some issues with the audio. I won't even get into them with the actual acoustics of it, because I'm just going to be repeating a video or people that have gone in that are actual experts on it. I would encourage anyone just to go and watch some of those people that kind of analyze the actual what's going on, because there's some weird stuff happening like within that that sound. So the reason it sounded Jason Chaffetz, he used to be congressman. He's a Fox News contributor. He was in the audience. He was one of the ones that went right on the air as it happened, or right after it happened, and was talking about how the proximity of it was super close. Everyone talked about, the firecracker sound. Look, it's a weird area with the buildings and how it is sunk so low, where the tent was. But yeah, I genuinely think that something was played out over the PA system, and I'm just going off of what we can hear the issues are as Hunter Kozak began to talk.
Yeah. All right. There's the answer for that. Well, listen, Blake,
Yeah.
man, I really appreciate you coming on. We'll definitely stay in touch. And
sure.
I definitely got some ballistic testing that I will be getting done. And I'll keep you abreast of that. Even I'll give you some sneak
Look forward to it.
peek stuff. Anyways, you keep me abreast of any new developments on your end, and we'll just stay in touch. And man, I'd love to meet up with you. So let me know when you're coming down here. Let me see what we got on the schedule. My wife loves when I make commitments before I tell her, especially.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man. I feel you.
If we don't do it, then we'll do it another time for sure.
Perfect. Thanks
All
for
right.
having me, Gary.
Man, you stay there. Well, listen, folks, we really appreciate you tuning in tonight and following along. And we do these lives so that you can jump in on the conversation. And we appreciate your comments, your questions. It makes it more fun. It's more enjoyable. This is much better than just sitting here staring at a camera and recording a video. So I really do appreciate all the engagement. And thank you, Blake, for coming on. But until next time, stay armed, stay ready. We'll talk to you.